some countries do not designate the political wing of Hezbollah as a terrorist organisation, as I think the US does. But it sounds as though you are putting a line there and saying...
I will not either agree or disagree with your characterization. I'm going to stand on the words that I just outlined for myself.
I just want to expand this because I think it does go to what the strategy is here, what your strategy is as the primary military backer of Israel in terms of this operation. Because you have moved from a strategy just a few weeks ago, which was get the residents of Israel back to the north, get the residents in Lebanon back to the south. Basically, that was your primary objective, and then rolling into that, trying to get 1701, implemented as part of a short truce where you get people talking. But you're now way beyond that because you're now in a situation where you're saying, you want a new president elected. You've said it's up to the Lebanese people to break the stranglehold that Hezbollah has on the Lebanese government. You weren't saying any of these things a month ago.
That is absolutely not true.
Okay,
just as a factual matter, we have made clear going back even before. Tom, just let me correct the record because it's really important. Yeah. We have made clear going back before October 7th that we wanted to see the Lebanese. Yeah. Parliament break this political deadlock and elect a new president. This is not a position, it's not something new that we are trying to accomplish.
But you weren't connecting it to an Israeli military operation which has invaded Lebanon, which is bombing Beirut. And now these things are wrapped together. So I'm asking you about the strategy for the military campaign that you're the key supplier of, because this sounds like, given what Benjamin Netanyahu has said about, he wants the Lebanese to rise up against Hezbollah, and you're saying break the stranglehold. This is now in the context of a military operation. So I'm asking the question, are you creating these conditions for the Israelis to stop? That you want, basically, Hezbollah removed as both a military and political force in Lebanon?
Of course we want to see Hezbollah not exercise political power inside Lebanon. They're a terrorist organization. They're a terrorist organization that is held... Hold on, just let me finish. You had a long build-up to the question. They're a terrorist organization that has held the Lebanese people hostage, that has killed, murdered civilians inside Lebanon. So of course we don't want to see them involved in governance inside Lebanon. And that is not anything new. I see your hand up. Let me just finish. That is not anything new. That has been the policy of the United States going back years and years, decades, in fact. And it has also been the policy of the United States that we want to see them elect a new president going back for some time. Now, we do want to see people return to their homes. We ultimately want to see a diplomatic resolution, but it needs to be a diplomatic resolution that actually will produce that hand down for a second. I'll come to you. That will produce that outcome, because we saw for the year after October 7th these tit-for-tat attacks going back and forth across the blue line, and the result was tens of thousands of people being displaced for their homes. So we want to see at the end of this military campaign this diplomatic resolution that will get people home. Yes, we also want to see a change in the Lebanese government. That means Lebanon can elect a new president. That has been our position for some time. It's not something new that started when the first Israeli forces crossed the border.
But I'm just challenging that because, yes, you've always said that about, Lebanon's been in this crisis where it hasn't had a president for 2 years, and obviously you don't want Hezbollah in Lebanon. But you weren't saying, we think the way to do that is to bomb Lebanon into this solution, which now...
I have not said that today.
You haven't said that.
So just to be clear, if you want to use words, use the words that I've used.
I'm trying to I'm asking you to disentangle these two things, because I'm saying to you, is it a condition of the end of this military operation in Lebanon that these things are achieved, that there is a new president, that Hezbollah are basically disempowered completely, both militarily and political? Because you weren't saying the way to achieve that more than 4 weeks ago. You weren't saying the way to achieve that involved a military campaign. But now we are in a situation where the two things, as far as I can tell, are bound together, and you're not distinguishing between them, as far as I can see.
Let me just go back to something that we said immediately after Israel launched this military campaign, which is that we are fully cognizant that military campaigns can at times create space for diplomacy. Long history of that. They can also produce the opposite effect. And we've seen military campaigns in Lebanon where Israel has crossed the border with the intent of a limited campaign, and it has turned to something completely different. And we're aware of the possibility of that scenario as well. I'm not going to make any predictions about what will happen. I'm telling you what we're going to try to achieve. Ultimately, when you come to asking about the military objectives, that's a question for Israel, not for us. I can tell you what it is that we want to see happen, and that's what I've made clear.
And just lastly, I know other people want to come in, but it's just the point is, the president said right at the start of all this, don't repeat the mistakes we made after 9/11. We saw what happened in Iraq with the attempt at regime change, and 10 years later you have ISIS. And so I asked this question because critics of what's happening now in Lebanon with the Israeli military campaign that's happening will say, well, look, this is just another regime change attempt. And to try and do that through a campaign of bombing has been proven, especially in the Middle East, to be completely futile and counterproductive.
So
yeah, you seem to be, you're behind this. You're in with this now.
We are not interested in regime change. We are interested in the people of Lebanon electing a president and breaking the deadlock that a terrorist organization. I don't know how I could be any more clear than that. That's what we've been interested in for years. It's what we continue to be interested in. It continues to be what we push for in our diplomatic engagements. So.